Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's virtual education program at Cancer Support Community South Bay. I'm Rebecca, the program manager, and I welcome you to this workshop titled Sleep Well, Live Well, Strategies for Restorative Sleep. Before we begin, if this is your first time joining us, CSC South Bay's mission is to ensure that all people impacted by cancer are empowered by knowledge, strengthened by action, and sustained by communities so that no one faces cancer alone. We serve the South Bay, Long Beach, and Orange County area all at no cost. Our program includes support groups, networking groups, healthy lifestyle classes, social activities, and education programs like this workshop. Educational programs are open to all. If you'd like to hear more about our services or join a community, please visit our website at cscsouthbay.org. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our workshop speaker. Mary Welch is a mother, wife, and double board certified oncology nurse practitioner at Long Beach Medical Center Memorial Care Todd Cancer Institute, a weight loss coach, community educator, and passionate advocate of eating and thinking smarter. She is convinced that a healthy life is within reach and spreading the message that the fastest way to change your health is to change what is on your fork. After losing 80 pounds and witnessing the consequences of lifestyle diseases like diabetes, cancer, and dementia, Mary founded Weight Loss to Wellness to empower others to get started on their health journey. Thank you so much, Mary, for being here with us today.
I am so glad to be here. I love speaking to the cancer support community. I have worked with oncology patients for most of my nursing career, and it's always fun to put a talk together. So I really enjoy speaking about lots of things, but sleep is especially important. And I studied with a functional medicine practitioner who really looked at sleep as one of the principles to health. So I've spent a lot of time working on improving my sleep and helping my patients sleep better. So I'm happy to share some of the things that I've learned along the way, some of the things that we're doing, not doing. And please, if you have questions, you may put them in the chat and we can address them throughout or also at the end of the program. Also, if you have something that has helped you with your sleep that I haven't mentioned, please share so that everyone can benefit from that. So without further ado, let's get started. So I've been an oncology practitioner for a long time. I was really shocked when someone said, "How long have you been a nurse?" And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 35 years now. So I've been doing this quite a long time. Oncology has been mostly my entire career. I have a 16-year-old son, 2 dogs, and a cat. Usually I sleep very well, but last night my husband came home from a meeting and had, I think, thrown up and felt bad. And then I was sleeping on the couch because I didn't want to get too close to him. And then an hour or two later, my son had the same sort of bug. So I think they had bad burritos the day before when they went to a basketball game. So I was up and down all night with my 16-year-old who hasn't thrown up much, thank goodness. And so I'm like, isn't it funny that I don't get the best sleep right before doing a talk about sleep? My husband teaches high school history. I've been a yo-yo dieter, stress eater, and honestly, good sleep can really help you with a healthy lifestyle and can help you manage your weight too. And we'll touch on that throughout this talk. But I just love empowering people to prioritize self-care and do simple things that can make a big impact on their overall health. If you've ever had kids, you know you don't want them to be tired or hungry. So it's the same for us. If we're very tired, we just will not function as well. And we'll touch on that throughout this talk. And if you're not sleeping well right now, there is hope for you. So don't get discouraged. I know many people struggle with sleep. So you're here at the right place, and hopefully you will walk away with some tips or things you can try to get a better night's sleep. But sleep is when our body repairs itself, when it restores itself, when it locks in our memory, and when we regenerate body parts. Our body is amazing. We build new skin cells, our organs regenerate, we remodel our bones. We do a lot of healing, and we heal best when we're sleeping. And when we're not digesting food, because when we're digesting food, our body's busy digesting food and not doing all the repair work. So that will be something to keep in mind as we go through this talk about why you don't want to eat right before bed. Um, but sleep can help you recover. It can improve your well-being. We'll review some of the disturbances that are very common as someone goes through their cancer treatment. We'll touch on things you can do to improve sleep. We'll review some of the common medications and complementary therapies you might find helpful. We'll do a mini reset that you can use to kind of help you relax and unwind at the end of the day or anytime really. And then throughout, we'll have a little case study to highlight some tips to make your sleep routine a bit better. So why is sleep so important? Well, we spend a third of our life sleeping. When you think about that, that's a big chunk of time. Like I said already, our bodies restore when we're sleeping. And with good sleep, we have sharper mental focus and we function better. The brain actually goes through a process where it filters at night and gets rid of toxic byproducts. There's this glymphatic system and it really gets activated at night. So if you aren't sleeping well, you may feel cloudy and foggy and not as sharp as usual. So good sleep can really impact your brain and your cognitive function. As I mentioned, it can help with weight loss, it improves your immune system and helps balance out your hormones. And some of the common things that people that have gone through cancer treatment experience: insomnia. There can be trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, and that sleep could be non-restorative. For a good part of my time at school working on my nurse practitioner, I worked the night shift on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, in a bone marrow transplant unit. Often those patients were in the hospital for a good month, and many times they were fine during the day, but nighttime was when all the thoughts and worries about their condition and the family had gone home, and many times they would be talking to me or contemplating what's going to happen, how did this happen to me, and these things are not unusual at all. So often you can not think about what you're going through, and then when you quiet down, it's like, wow, this is what's happening to me. So that's very common. Many patients that have cancer, in addition to the general population, have sleep apnea. And with that, it's just an interruption in your sleep. You may have a pause in your breathing from anywhere to 10 to 15 seconds. To some people, it could be almost a minute. I know my mom would have this, and when she'd stay with me, I'd be just counting, like, is she going to breathe again? And sometimes I'm like, I'm going to wake her up, but then she'd take a big So if you have someone that snores or has an irregular pattern of breathing, they may have some sleep apnea. This leads to daytime sleepiness and fatigue. So if you think you might have that, or you have someone you care about that has that, you haven't had a sleep study, that would be the first place to start. And you can have a sleep study where they hook you up to all these different electrodes and monitors, and they can catch if your oxygen saturation's dropping, if your heart rate is changing. And if you indeed have sleep apnea, there are things to do. They can give you a breathing machine. There's a device now that can be inserted that works with the nerves in your tongue to loosen them up so that you have less sleep apnea, and that improves the quality of your sleep. So something to look into. Some people have restless leg syndrome, where the legs just have an urge to move, and many people may have some numbness and tingling from different treatments or chemotherapies that seem to be flaring up at bedtime. Fatigue or overtiredness can make it hard to rest. And often if you've had a lot of nights without sleep, you're worried that you're not going to sleep, and you're watching the clock and thinking about, wow, I have to get up soon and I haven't even slept. So it can cause this anxiety and worry. Many people are dealing with some night sweats or hormonal changes from the treatments they're on. Maybe there's some cancer-related pain from the cancer itself, or some of the medications we give can cause muscle aches or bone pain. And then different medicines that we use to help manage side effects. One of the common drugs we use to help prevent nausea is a steroid. And those steroids tend to make sleep difficult. So here you are, we load you up with steroids, and then you go home and you have all this energy and want to organize the closet at 2 in the morning. So some of the treatments we give can disrupt your sleep too. So to summarize some of the treatment things, you may have side effects from treatment, things like nausea, pain, or hot flashes. Radiation may make the skin uncomfortable, tight. There could be burning. It may be difficult to find a comfortable spot. You may have this fatigue that makes it hard to get a good night's sleep. You may find you're falling asleep throughout the day with mini naps that then keep you from getting that really long stretch of restorative sleep. Hormonal therapy can cause hot flashes, insomnia, joint pain. And then, of course, surgery can impact your sleep. Anyone who's been in the hospital for any length of time knows the hospital is not a great place to sleep. People come in and they're checking vital signs. Someone's call light's going off. You hear the staff in the hallway. So it's really not the best place to rest. There can be lifestyle factors, things like caffeine or alcohol can impact sleep quality. Nicotine is a stimulant that may also impact sleep. If you have suddenly stopped using nicotine, there may be withdrawal symptoms that make sleep more difficult. Having an irregular sleep-wake cycle can impact your sleep quality as well. So if you're going to bed at different times or changing your schedule up on the weekends, that may impact how you sleep as well. So these sleep disturbances can impact your physical recovery in several ways. Poor sleep can lead to a decrease in your immune function. So you may be more susceptible to infection, and you may not rest and repair and regenerate as quickly. With that, you may have prolonged time for wound healing because as you're sleeping, your body's resting, repairing, restoring. So if you're not getting that rest, some of the repair work may be delayed. You may have more pain when you're asleep or not sleeping well. And that sleep can just lead to persistent fatigue, which can make you not want to be active. And then you just don't have the energy to move or exercise, or you're too tired to do things you enjoy. So it can impact your overall life. So what can we do? We'll get to that. Also, there's emotional well-being. So I know poor sleep can lead to mood disturbances, irritability, or anxiety. I know when my son was overtired when he was a little guy, he would be super irritable, and you wanted to make sure he got the sleep he needed, didn't stay up too late, or else he was a very grouchy, grumpy kid. This can lead to trouble dealing with your emotions, and challenges overall can decrease your cognitive function and memory and make it harder to do tasks. And that overall can lower your quality of life because you're just not sleeping well. You're not enjoying the activities you would like to do to stay positive. So if you're having any of these, you're in the right spot. And then your overall quality of life can be impacted with poor sleep because you're just not functioning as well. You're not able to engage in activities or do the tasks you look forward to. You may end up having more infections or going to the doctor more, or even needing more medications. And for people that have side effects from treatment, they may be less likely to adhere to their treatment plan because of the side effects they know are coming from that treatment. So that can impact long-term outcomes as well. This is an interesting graph about how sleep impacts weight and appetite. And at first I was like, how are they related? But you can see the blue line at the top is showing when you have enough sleep, over to the right, not enough sleep. And when you have enough sleep, the hormones that sort of regulate our sense of appetite and satiety are impacted. So when we get plenty of sleep, our ghrelin levels are low. Ghrelin is a hormone that tells us our appetite is fine and we don't need to eat. When you don't have enough sleep, that ghrelin level is higher, and that sends a signal of hunger to your brain, and it makes you go and search for food. And the same with leptin. Leptin is a hormone that tells us we've had enough or we don't need to eat anymore. We're satisfied. So when you've had enough sleep, your leptin levels are higher. So you don't need to eat as much. When you haven't had enough sleep, your leptin levels are low. So you may not feel satisfied even after eating. And when you think about this, when you haven't had enough sleep, your body is looking to get a little more energy. So it naturally is having you try to eat more so that you can get more carbs or more sugar or more energy that might give you more fuel to go until you can sleep again. But ultimately, if you were getting better sleep, you would feel less snacky and wouldn't feel the need to eat so much because those hunger and enough hormones have balanced out. So that can be a tricky thing. I think, um, growing up, my dad worked shift work. He worked a lot of night shifts. And like I said, I worked night shift for a long time in my training. And you don't quite know when to eat. Your circadian rhythms are off a little bit. So balancing these out and getting on a good schedule, if you could do it, certainly help. So sleep is very important. It's not a luxury. It's a necessity for our health and well-being, especially after treatment. Our bodies have been through a lot with treatments and we're recovering, rebuilding, and restoring. So if you're sleeping a lot, that is good. Your body is healing. And some people worry, I'm in bed a lot. I'm like, if you're up during the day and you're active and you're sleeping more than 8 hours, that is okay, as long as you're not in bed all the time. Sleep is an important part of your recovery. It's a very good investment in your present and future health. And really prioritizing sleep is a self-care act that can impact your overall health. So it's okay to say no to people. I know if I don't get enough sleep, I feel it. So I used to say yes to a lot of things and be out too late and then pay for it the next day. Now I'm like, oh, I know my dogs are going to want to be up before 5 to go for a walk. So if I'm not in bed by 9, I don't get enough sleep. So I have to sort of structure my schedule so that I get the sleep I need. And even though it would be fun, I know that good sleep is important for me to function well and have the energy that I want. So we'll take a little break and just see if there's any questions or comments, or you can put something in the chat. Let me see if I can see the chat here. Looks like there's
Thank
one
you.
question. Oh,
Yes,
it's just a
feel free.
welcome chat.
Yes, feel free to put any questions you have into the chat, or you can also unmute yourself to indicate that you have a question you'd like to ask out loud. See. I think we're okay for now, Mary. Thank
Oh,
you.
all right, great. And if you think of something, don't be shy. I'm happy to answer, but I think this case study will highlight, this is a fictional case study that ChatGPT helped me create. So I've been playing around with AI. I don't know if any of you have played around with it, but it's pretty incredible. So I just told it I wanted to create a little story for a talk I was doing about sleep in cancer survivors. And it created Sarah, a breast cancer survivor with sleep problems. I thought, wow, this is better than I could create. So Sarah here finished her treatment a year ago and experiences frequent insomnia and fatigue during the day. So let's take a look at her typical evening routine. At 8 o'clock, she's finishing dinner, watching her favorite TV show on her tablet while scrolling social media on her phone. By 9:30, she's feeling tired, decides to go to bed, takes her phone with her and is browsing the web until she's sleepy. At 10:30, she's putting the phone away and tries to fall asleep, but her mind's racing with thoughts of her cancer and her future. At 11:30, she's still not able to fall asleep, so she goes to the kitchen for a snack, which is a large bowl of ice cream, and then returns to bed. And then by 1 a.m., she's still awake, tossing and turning. She's feeling frustrated and anxious about not being able to sleep. So I don't know if any of you have felt like this, but I feel like I have met patients like this over my years caring for breast cancer patients. So now we'll take a look at her routine. So some of the things that jump out is screen time before bed. There's more studies coming out that the blue light from tablets and screens and even the bright lights in our houses can interfere with melatonin production. And melatonin is an important hormone that helps us get to sleep. So when melatonin isn't working correctly, it can make it harder to fall asleep. And I'll have a slide later on showing some melatonin pictures. Late night snacking is another thing that can impact sleep and sleep quality. Ideally, you would like to avoid food 3 hours before bed for a number of reasons. One, it gives you a chance to digest the food before you go to bed. Two, it is less likely for you to have reflux or GERD once you lay flat and that food is full, if your belly's very full. And if your body's busy digesting food for the first few hours of your sleep, it's spending all the energy doing the digestion of food rather than some of the restorative repair work on your brain and liver and other things. So the earlier you can eat, the better. Eating something like ice cream, although it's delicious, it has a lot of sugar, and the sugar can boost your energy, and now you're wide awake because you have a little sugar high happening, and that can disrupt sleep as well. And then worrying in bed, if you're in bed for an hour, hour and a half, worrying with racing thoughts and anxiety, staying in bed probably isn't the best. It's a good idea to get up and wait till you have relaxed a little bit. So um, we'll see what we could do about worry. We'll work on that a little later. So how can she improve her sleep hygiene routine? So one would be to establish a regular sleep schedule, and we'll work on that a little later. Trying to go to bed and waking up at the same time each day. Create a relaxing bedtime routine. So rather than all the screens, maybe a warm bath or reading a book or listening to some calming music would help. Avoiding a screen at least 1 hour before bed can help. And there's a lot more people using these blue light blocking glasses. That's an image of the lady in the corner there. They usually have amber lenses that block light, or you can put your device into nighttime mode that limits the light. Limiting things like caffeine and alcohol in the evening can really impact things. And alcohol, you think it makes you relax and unwind, but in fact, it makes you have a restless sleep. For about a year, I wore this monitoring device called an Aura Ring that monitored sleep quality. And I don't drink much, but I noticed that if I had wine or had a drink before bed, those nights my sleep score was lower and my deep sleep was impacted. And I didn't feel as rested in the morning. So I drink even less now because I'm like, wow, alcohol doesn't do that much for me. So that can really impact the quality of your sleep. And then your sleep environments is also important. Having a dark, quiet, cool bedroom and practicing some relaxation techniques. And we'll do a technique together towards the end of this, but things like meditation, deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation can help calm the body and mind before bed. If your brain is swirling with thoughts, getting them out, sometimes dumping everything down into a journal, writing, and then that frees your brain up so that you can sleep. Those sort of things can help. So what can we do to improve sleep? I touched on a few of them already, but you can start improving your sleep throughout the day. A lot of people don't get outside a whole lot, and especially in the winter, people can have this seasonal affect disorder. So to sync your, to help you sync with the sunrise and get your circadian rhythms in tune, you are best served by getting out to see some natural sunlight in the morning. So if you're up early and you see the sunrise or the early morning light for a couple of minutes, especially right into your eyes, that helps get production of the hormones that help you sleep going. So getting early morning sun, midday sun, and if you can see late afternoon or evening sun, that helps sync you to the rhythm. And if you think about animals, they kind of get up with the sun. Think of the chickens or roosters, and then they're quiet at night. So they are running around during the day and resting at night. Getting your exercise earlier in the day can help as well, because if you exercise too late in the day, that can have some adrenaline left around and can make it harder for you to sleep. So getting that exercise in the morning or in the afternoon or early evening walking, that movement can help you stay asleep faster and longer. And then fluid intake can impact sleep. If you drink right before bed, your body's going to process that and you'll be getting up throughout the night to use the restroom. So if you want to drink plenty of fluid, you want to start earlier and drink that fluid in the morning before, as your coffee's brewing, have a glass of water, drink it at lunch, and then sort of cut back by dinner time. You want to decrease the amount of fluid you're drinking from dinner to bedtime so that you don't have to wake up as much to use the restroom. So it looks like there may be a couple of questions. Let me just take a pause right here and we'll see what the chat says. Let's see. What natural meds besides melatonin to take with helping? Yep, well, I'll touch on that, but essential oils. So we'll touch on that a little bit later. Is long-term use of sleeping aids like Ambien harmful? I mean, they can become habit forming and you can become dependent on them. I don't know about long-term harm, but it may be difficult to sleep without them. Does a night mode on the phone display help offset the melatonin interference? That's a good question. I think it would be less, but I still think the blue light glasses would be a bit better. The steroids in my treatment create the situation you mentioned. I take melatonin and magnesium. The doctor gave me a sleeping pill that really doesn't work, and I drink chamomile tea. So I can't sleep usually for 2 nights following treatment. One of the things we do when people are on steroids is they'll take the Decadron in the morning. We use a medicine. It's a prescription drug, but it's called olanzapine at bedtime. It helps with nausea and it also is very good for sleep. So it kind of does a 2-for thing. So our patients usually will take that Decadron often for 3 days in the morning after chemo to prevent nausea and achiness, and then usually the olanzapine at bedtime. That is a prescription drug. It's an old drug. It's antipsychotic is the class, but it does cause most people to sleep pretty well. So that would be one. Benadryl is another one that some people find helps. Tylenol PM has Benadryl in it. Benadryl was probably one of the top drugs we used in the hospital to help people sleep. But let's see, Aura Ring. It's O-U-R-A, Aura, O-U-R-A. And they're a little pricey. I thought it was interesting. It's you wear it on your finger, it counts steps, it'll tell you your heart rate, it measures your body temperature, it gives you a lot of different data. It tells you about your deep sleep, light sleep, but it was part of a program I was in. I think they run about $300 or $400. Mine broke and I didn't replace it. I didn't feel that I needed to know the information that much. But I wore it for about a year. It was interesting, but not life-changing. But it was kind of cool to see how if I drank alcohol, the sleep quality wasn't as good. Let's see, yeah, and the working nights, yeah, melatonin, lavender, we'll touch on that as well as we go through some of the things. Let's see, good questions, everybody. What is a good sleep aid? We'll get through that. But I love magnesium too. And if you tend to be a little bit constipated, magnesium is a great supplement that you can take at bedtime. It helps relax you, it helps with sleep, and it helps your bowels move. So magnesium glycinate works quite well if you want to sleep. Some people find some melatonin gummies are helpful as well. Benadryl can give restless legs, you're right. So that may not be. The Rincon 2 is expensive and gives more information. That's good to know. I haven't heard of that. Rincon 2 is Yeah, with the Aura Ring, you also have to pay a monthly membership fee. I was kind of annoying. Does Benadryl affect your memory? Um, I I don't know. It might, but I'm not aware of it. Rincon is less expensive. Okay, that's good. There's plenty of these sleep aids out there. So, or sleep devices that monitor sleep. It's become a thing to really looking at sleep. So good questions. We'll touch on some of them a little bit later. Let's move on. So this next slide is quite interesting. So this shows you the sun. So what we have here, the sun comes up right around 6 a.m. You have the midday sun at 12, say sunset around 6. And then you have the blue line is melatonin. So you can see your melatonin goes up a little bit. Like this is kind of lower during the day. And then it kind of peaks as the sun goes down. And we have the cortisol coming up usually in the morning. So in the morning, if you wake up and have this natural energy, it's because your body's cranking up this cortisol level. So you may have more energy to do things like exercise in the morning. And if you feel like you need a little afternoon nap, you're not wrong. Your body's winding down. And now the melatonin's coming that makes you feel sleepy. So between 6 and 9, you want to do things like wind down, dim the lights. And at this point, your body's doing physical repair work. And now it's working on the brain, doing all this psychological repair. But really getting sleep from 10 to 2 is probably some of the most important time if you're a regular sleeper. And then you get back to the beginning. So this is when things are, your melatonin kind of increases at night and the cortisol peaks in the morning. So that's how those two work together. So if you're taking your melatonin, some people get benefit from that. Others say it doesn't do much. So I don't know if you have taken melatonin and find it super helpful. Sometimes playing with doses can help as well. All right, so that's planning your sleep. So ideally, somewhere between 7 to 9 hours of sleep would be ideal. If you can keep your sleep-wake cycle as consistent as possible, so even on the weekends, if you're a Monday through Friday worker, sleeping in till midday on the weekends may throw off your sleep schedule the rest of the week. Getting to bed after midnight can be tough because you sort of miss the natural circadian rhythm, but occasionally it happens. If you're napping in the late afternoon or evening, you may not be tired for a going to bed. So if you're having trouble sleeping, that would be the first thing, is to look and see, are you dozing off and napping during the day? And if that's the case, try not to do that, or try to nap a little earlier in the day so that you are sleepy and able to get to bed. We talked about not eating 3 hours before bed, but also not having a big meal before bed. Ideally, if you do have a big meal, probably having that in the middle of the day would be the best, with the lighter snack in the evening so that you don't have to digest so much. And it's great for things like indigestion. If you're finishing all your eating 3 hours for bed, that also cuts out some of the nighttime snacking. And there's some studies that have shown mini fast of about 13 hours can have some benefits for lowering the risk of cancer recurrence in breast cancer patients. It can improve metabolic health. It helps manage weight, and it may reduce some of the side effects of treatment. So if you stop eating at 6 p.m. and you don't eat again till 7 a.m., you have just achieved a 13-hour fast without a lot of effort. So then you're really eating all your food between 7 in the morning and 6 o'clock at night. So that can be a little benefit there as well. Lighting is another thing that can impact sleep. We touched on it a little bit with the blue lights, but back in the day before electricity, when people had the gas lamps or the candle lights, things were not as bright as these LED lights we have now. And when I was growing up, we had the table lamps, and they weren't super bright, but now a lot of people have these can lights in their house. Our house has them, and they can be very bright. So when the light's coming from overhead, it's mimicking midday sun. when it's at least coming from a table, it's at an angle. So it's more of a later in the evening type of light to your brain. So overhead lighting can impact sleep. Considering using red bulbs at night may make things dimmer, or these salt lights or candles can also create the mood and get the light dimmer so that you can get that melatonin production going. Sleeping with blackout curtains or an eye mask can help, and those blue blocking glasses can help as well. This next slide here just illustrates the impact on melatonin. So I don't know if it specifically answers the nighttime mode and melatonin, but LED bulbs here produce 6,000 Kelvin of light, and it suppresses 80% of melatonin. So a lot of lighting is LED. That means our bodies are not going to make a whole lot of melatonin if we're in a very brightly lit place in the evening. The compact fluorescent bulbs are pretty close. They're 5,500 behind and suppress about 80%. The typical incandescent light bulb is about half at 2,700 Kelvin, and that suppresses melatonin about half at 40%. Then you have things like the candles, much less, 2%, or the candlelight, less than 2%. So that dimmer light is going to help decrease the blue light and not suppress melatonin. And we don't want to suppress the melatonin so that we can get into that good restorative sleep. So I follow this guy, Brendan Burchard. He's a high performance habit coach and author. He's written a lot of books, but he follows this 3-2-1 routine, which I think really is an easy thing to remember. So 3 hours before bed, no food. That creates a mini fast for you. 2 hours before bed, you want to stop working. So that kind of just frees your mind up. And then 1 hour before bed, no screens or devices. So you're really just spending that last hour getting ready for the next day, stretching, journaling, doing your nighttime hygiene, flossing, brushing your teeth, that sort of thing. So that's a nice nighttime protocol. And, you may not be perfect. Sometimes 3 hours before bed is not easy, especially if you're like me, getting home from work. And if I get home a little late and I want to be in bed by 8 or 9 and I'm not home till 6:30 making dinner, then I'm not eating 3 hours before bed, but you do the best you can. Avoiding nighttime tension. This is a big one. So a lot of people will do things like getting paperwork together for their taxes or organizing their bills right before bed, and then they wonder why they can't sleep. So don't do that stuff. Or even the news, if you have the news on, especially these days, there's so many sad stories about the fire victims and plane crashes and politics and so forth. That could put anyone in a foul mood. So taking a break from the news or not watching it too close to bed can be helpful. Reading stimulating materials may keep you awake. So you want to find a book, but not one that's not that good that you can't put it down. I am guilty of staying up in a good book. And then one more chapter, and then it's like, wow, it's late. I haven't done that in a while, but if you get into a good book, it can keep you from reading. So you want a good book, but one that you might get a little drowsy with. And then avoiding arguments if you can before bed. That can help. Avoiding stimulants. So things like alcohol, we talked about how that can impact sleep quality. So if you are going to have alcohol, having it before bed would be helpful. Avoiding caffeine. If it impacts you, the earlier you have it in the day, the better. Trying to cut back by about 2 or 3 p.m. can help you sleep. And then some medications, like we talked about, the steroids can be stimulating. So if you are taking them, I try to tell my patients, take your steroids in the morning with food. Try not to take them too late. Or if you're taking them twice a day, take it earlier in the evening instead of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. You can push it up a little bit. So hopefully you can sleep a bit better. But of course, check with your provider about timing and medication and dosing, because although I'm a nurse practitioner, I'm not yours, and I don't want to give you medical advice. So please take anything I say and take it to your care provider to get there. Okay. And then exercise before 6. A gentle walk after dinner would be great if it's after 6, but if you're doing something more vigorous, then it might make it harder for you to go to sleep. And then optimizing your sleep environment. Sleeping in a cool temperature is better. How many people on those really hot summer nights toss and turn and don't sleep well? So if you can be in a cooler environment, that helps. Under right around 70 degrees is great. Getting a decent mattress or pillows can be very helpful. There's some very good memory foam mattress toppers now. So if getting a brand new mattress is too much of an investment, for probably $100 or less, you can get a very nice foam mattress, memory foam thing that makes your bed feel so much better. And then minimizing those distractions. Trying not to keep your phone in your room would be a big help. Many people have their phones dinging and notifications going off throughout the night, or it will buzz and it just interferes with your sleep. So if you can put it somewhere, I know some people like them close by, in case of emergencies. So if that's the case, maybe you can put it in airplane mode or have it handy if you need to call somebody. But use the do not disturb features on your devices or charge them up in another room. That can help a lot too. At least silence the ringers. So creating a relaxing bedtime routine. So a warm bath is often very relaxing for people. Listening to calm music, reading. I put a question in a couple of Facebook groups just to see what answers people came up with. Someone said they like the relaxation app Calm. I haven't used it, but you might want to check that out. Sometimes the evening's a nice time to go through a type of devotional or do some gratitude journaling. My phone has an alarm that reminds me to be in bed by 9. I don't know if I set that sometime long ago or if it's just a feature of my phone, but it kind of reminds me like, oh, time to go to bed. So if you kind of lose track of time, you can use your phone to remind you to get to bed. And if you are there and you're not able to sleep, this I also asked in a Facebook group, and I thought these were some pretty good recommendations. So if you're laying in bed and you're not sleeping, one person said, oh, I like to list things I'm grateful for alphabetically, starting with the letter A. I'm grateful for apples. I'm grateful for bananas. I'm grateful for a car. So you get the idea. You can do things like praying, or my mom did this a lot when we were growing up. So I'm just putting my worries under my pillow or giving them to God, and I'll worry about them tomorrow. So I can't do anything about them right now. So just put them in a worry jar or under your pillow and go to sleep. They'll be there in the morning. If you are tossing and turning, in this picture here, the clock's turned away from her, which is great because there's nothing worse than watching the minutes tick away and you're like, oh, only 10 minutes have passed, or I have to get up in 3 hours. So don't do that to yourself. If anything, if you can't sleep, it might be time to get out of bed and read that not so exciting book for a little while till you feel sleepy again, or do something, a little crossword puzzle or adult coloring book or something to relax you till you feel sleepy again. And then we'll go through a mini mindful reset in a little bit. And then different medications, the Tylenol PM, melatonin gummies, Benadryl, magnesium supplements, those can help. And I do like the things like chamomile tea is a great option. Aromatherapy like lavender can be helpful as well. And then, if you're really struggling, there's cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. Some of the things they propose are using stimulus control. So you really only want the bed to be associated with sleep. So some people live in their bed, they eat in their bed, they work in their bed, they watch TV and play games in their bed, and they're in their bed all the time. But if you're not sleeping well, you probably want to shift that and only go to bed when you're sleepy. Get out of bed if you're not able to sleep within 20 minutes, and go do a quiet activity until sleepy. So maybe it's a jigsaw puzzle. You really want to reserve the bed for sleep and sex and avoid anything else like reading, watching TV, or eating in bed. And then working on restructuring your thoughts. So if you feel like you have negative thoughts about sleep, you want to try to replace them with positive and realistic ones. So you might be saying, oh, I know I'm going to be awake for hours, and you sort of dread going to bed. Rather, with that thought, you could see why you don't want to go, but you might say, oh, I can relax and rest even if I'm not fully asleep. And that just calms your mind a little bit. So some of the complementary therapies, this mindfulness of just feeling your feet, and we'll do a little bit of that as we go through the exercise coming up. You can try these meditation apps. Some of them really just help relax, almost like a hypnosis type of headphone thing you can listen to help you relax. Aromatherapy, especially lavender, is very helpful. It helps improve sleep quality, it can lower anxiety, and it helps increase melatonin levels. So they have different lavender sprays you can spray on pillowcases. There's lavender shower gel and soaps and bath oils. They used to have a Johnson and Johnson baby lavender bath when my son was little. It smells really good. Um, Massaging can help. So even giving yourself a little massage or a heated wrap that you put in the microwave and maybe put around your shoulders to just loosen them up a little bit and do some breathing might help you relax. And often these heated things have some lavender or rosemary in them that are very relaxing. So breathing can really help with sleep. So long, slow, deep breaths, and you may do just the box breathing, 4 breaths in, hold it for a count of 4, let 4 breaths out, hold it for a count of 4, and breathe in, and focus on your breath, and gets you out of your head and into your body. You can practice a body scan where you just start at either your head or your feet. You could even do this now where you start at your head. Do you have tension in your temples? Are your jaws tight? If they are, kind of loosen them up. Take a deep breath and relax them. Is your neck tight? Are your shoulders up? Let them go. And then just work your way down. Do you feel tightness in your chest or stomach or pelvis? Just kind of hold it in, then relax all the way down the legs to the feet. And we'll work through a little bit of this in a minute. You can do guided imagery. So there may be pictures or things that you like to focus on. There's different apps. I go to a sauna studio and they have just relaxing ocean scenes and different things that are with relaxing music. So something like that may be soothing, or fish tank type of thing where you're just relaxed. Meditation, you can sit comfortably and just focus on breathing without drifting. Things like yoga, tai chi, qigong can help with that breathing, flowing and relaxing. And I know a lot of these practices are available through the cancer support community. So if you haven't tried some of those classes, they may help you become more skilled at things like yoga, qigong, or meditation or journaling. And even repetitive prayer or mantras can help you as well. Some people, that do different things, chanting, rosary, that it's something repetitive that can help you get sleepy as well. So we talked about foods to avoid, things like alcohol, caffeine, high sugar food, simple carbs like cakes, pastries, and sodas. Those can all interfere with your sleep quality. So your sleep plan. Let's look at that. We'll do the sleep plan in a minute, but first let's do this mini mindful reset. So this is a little exercise that will take about 3 to 5 minutes, and you can do it anytime to help calm your body and mind. So we're going to do a little bit of deep breathing with a brief moment of mindfulness. So this is a mini mindful reset. So we want to start by just finding a comfortable position. Hopefully you're already pretty comfortable, but you could be sitting in your chair or lying down. If you're sitting, keep your feet flat on the floor and your hands resting comfortably in your lap or on your thighs. And if you're lying down, let your arms rest at your sides. So now that you're in that comfortable position, we'll focus on breathing. Place one hand gently on your abdomen, and we'll begin with a few deep, slow breaths. So you want to inhale deeply through your nose and feel your belly rise as you breathe in. Imagine filling your lungs completely with air. And then exhale slowly through your mouth, feeling your belly fall as you breathe out. Let's do this together 5 times. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And focus on your breath. Inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. Now continue breathing, but bring your attention to your body now. And notice any sensations you might be feeling. You don't need to judge these, just simply observe them. Maybe you can feel the chair supporting you, or maybe you feel the temperature of the air, or maybe you hear a siren in the background. Just notice them. And now expand your awareness beyond your body. Notice sounds around you. Observe them without judgment. Just notice those sounds. Do you hear a dog barking? Is there a cat meowing? Is there a tap dripping? Is the TV on in the background? And then bring your attention back to your breath. Feel that rise and fall of your abdomen. And now exhale. And that's it. So it's just a little mini reset. You focused on your breath. You focused on your body a little bit. You focused on things around you. And it got you centered and into yourself. And it may have taken your mind off other things you were thinking about. So you can do this anytime if you're feeling stressed, anxious, or just need a moment to connect with yourself. You could take a few deep breaths and relax, and then hopefully feel just a little bit calmer. So if you notice your mind's wandering, just come back to that breath, and you can definitely change your state in a couple of minutes and help yourself slow down. So it's a nice quick little thing you can do. I've done this sometimes just in traffic if I feel like, oh, just a few deep breaths, focus, how do I feel? What do I hear? Breathe, and I feel less stress. So anytime you're stressed or getting upset, it can work really well. All right, so this is just a little plan, and you can use it to customize whatever. So with this, you might say, I would like to get how many hours of sleep per night? So let's say 7 or 8. So my ideal bedtime to achieve this would be, and you just reverse engineer it. So if I know my dogs will wake me up at 5 and I want 7 or 8 hours of sleep, I need to be in bed by like 9 or something like that to get enough time. That means if I wanted to finish eating 3 hours before bed, that means I would have to be in bed by 6. That means I'd be done doing any work by about 7, and I'd be off screens by 8. So you could play around with it. I will dim the lights in my house starting at whatever time. It might be 7, and I'll make an effort to drink more fluid earlier in the day and cut down on my fluid intake by whatever PM. So you can take a picture of this, or my slides will be available. So you can add things to this, but these were just a few little things that make this something that you can use. It looks like we may have a couple of questions. Let me just check the chat here. Let's see. Supplements include vitamins. Yeah, supplements can be vitamins. So doing a crossword or Sudoku in bed to fall asleep, too stimulating for the brain. I would do it not in bed. So if you want to do it, maybe sit at a table or in a chair, and then when you're feeling sleepy, go to bed. But if you're someone that's like, oh, I can't go to bed till I complete the Sudoku, it might take too long, depending on how fast you can solve it. But if you can answer a couple of crosswords and walk away, then I think that would be fine. Let's see, TED Talks that you don't connect with. Oh, good. That's a good one. Yeah. Boring TED Talks that you could just listen to. Um, One of the people recommended a podcast. I think it was just pretty much about nothing. And I could tell you about that too, that they just listen um, to get, I don't, once I stopped sharing my slides, I could tell you the podcast because I thought it was a funny name. I haven't listened to it, but I thought it was along the same lines. And I didn't put too many supplements about sleep, but I think that could be a whole other talk. And I could definitely research that a little bit. But I definitely think there are things that people have used that help. Something called Doc Parsley's coming to mind, but it mostly is magnesium based. So let's move on and see what we have here. All right. So improving sleep. If you are struggling and you've tried everything, seeing a therapist or even having some of this cognitive behavioral therapy may help you. Tapping into the resources the cancer support community has, using some of the yoga and meditation can help, gentle exercise, and remembering to make your room quiet and dark can help, a sleep mask can help, sticking to a routine that works for you, watching that screen time. And I know I'm guilty of, oh, I'm going to plug in my phone. And next thing you know, I'm like, oh, I checked Facebook and now I've been there for a half hour with the screen. And I could be sleeping or getting ready for bed, but I just spent an hour looking at little dog and cat videos and trying to limit napping during the day and limiting that caffeine and alcohol before bed can help as well. So that is all that I have for the moment. I enjoyed putting this together. I hope you have a few tips that you can use that will help you sleep better. CBD for sleep, some people say it helps them a lot. I haven't tried it, but I know patients do say it helps them. The CBD gummies. Some people feel a little more like agitated. So it's tough to say everything that works for everybody. But if you think of more questions or you want to reach out, you can email me there at marywelch68@gmail.com or give me a call. Happy to answer questions you might have offline. And I will get the slides to Rebecca and she can get them out for you if there was anything in here that you would want. And if there's any questions you could think of or things that we didn't talk about. Yeah, so for the recording, you want to email Rebecca at the Cancer Support Community, cscsouthbay.org. It's in the chat there.
Thank you
I,
so much, Mary. That was just a wonderful, it's jam-packed full of information in just 1 hour. So I do hope, I think the important thing is you have to keep trying, right? It might not work the first time, but once your body adjusts to it, maybe it will work and there's different options out there. Absolutely. So if
yeah,
people want access to the recording or want the slide, please email me. So maybe you can try one thing one time and another tactic, another strategy another time and see what works for you. And again, thank you so much, Mary, for just a wonderful presentation today.
of course. And like you